Welcome to Ireland in the mid-1800s, where one of the largest famines in world history took place, and it was all because of one man and one nation. Hunger was the true killer of the Irish people in 1847. The winter cold seeped into every stone and bone, but it was the emptiness in bellies that truly haunted the land. Fields once lush and green now lay barren, blanketed in frost and silence. Kids, orphaned and alone, they moved like shadows through a land stripped of comfort and hope. The laughter of childhood was replaced by silence and the shuffle of tired feet. Silence and the stench of decay replaced the warmth of home and hearth. Empty cottages stood as grim reminders of lives lost, their walls echoing with memories of better days. Families huddled together, their strength fading as the green Irish landscape became a stage for tragedy. Each night, they clung to one another, desperate to survive until morning. Across the country, hunger tore families apart, forcing impossible choices for survival. Parents watched helplessly as children weakened, and siblings were separated in the search for food or shelter. Ireland teetered on the edge of annihilation, its people trapped in a nightmare with no escape. The land mourned, and the world watched as a nation struggled to endure the unthinkable. The potato was Ireland's lifeline, one crop feeding millions. In 1845, a mysterious blight blackened the fields, turning hope to rot overnight. By 1846, the blight returned, wiping out the harvest and severing the only means of survival for countless families. With no alternatives, hunger spread like wildfire. Prices soared, and the poor could not afford what little food remained. Starvation crept into every home as families watched their last potatoes decay. The collapse of the potato crop unleashed a slow, relentless wave of death. The land that once sustained Ireland now symbolized despair. Overseeing the British response was Sir Charles Trevelyan, Assistant Secretary to the Treasury. Trevelyan, a staunch believer in laissez-faire economics and stern Protestant values, saw the famine as a test of Irish character. He viewed the Irish poor as lazy and dependent, believing suffering would force them to change. Trevelyan's rigid ideology shaped British policy, prioritizing economic theory over human life. His reports and recommendations became law, making him the gatekeeper of relief. Efficiency became cruelty as his policies deepened the crisis. The tragedy was not just a failed crop, but a failure of empathy personified by Trevelyan. Trevelyan believed the famine was divine punishment, a lesson for Ireland. This belief justified inaction, relief was limited, and food exports from Ireland continued even as people starved. Public works forced the starving to labour for meagre wages, while soup kitchens were closed prematurely. Relief was funneled through harsh workhouses, which became death traps. Trevelyan's own words revealed his callousness. The judgment of God sent the calamity to teach the Irish a lesson. British policy blamed the victims, seeing their suffering as deserved. Trevelyan's decrees turned disaster into catastrophe, costing over 1 million lives. The consequences were apocalyptic. Death haunted every village, casting a shadow over daily life. Hunger and disease became constant companions, and hope faded with each passing day. Mass graves filled quickly. The living were too weak to bury the dead, and the air was thick with grief. The land itself seemed to mourn, as entire communities vanished almost overnight. Workhouses meant as refuge became centres of disease and misery. Overcrowded and unsanitary, they offered little comfort, and many perished within their walls. Families were separated, torn apart by desperation, and many chose to die at home rather than face the horrors of the workhouse. The bonds of kinship were tested to their limits. Those who could fled on coffin ships, risking death at sea for a chance at survival. The journey was perilous, and many never reached new shores. Landlords evicted starving tenants, demolishing their homes to clear land for profit. Entire villages were erased, leaving only ruins and memories behind. Acts of kindness existed, but were overwhelmed by cruelty and neglect. Relief efforts, though present, were often too little and too late to save most lives. The famine shattered communities, exposing deep inequalities and the cost of indifference. Generations would feel the scars, both visible and invisible. Ireland's landscape and people were forever changed, their resilience and sorrow etched into the nation's memory for all time. The Great Hunger left 1 million dead and another million scattered across the world. Families were torn apart, communities vanished, and the Irish landscape was forever changed by the devastation. The trauma of those years still lingers in the collective memory of Ireland and its diaspora. Abandoned villages and overgrown fields still bear witness to the loss. These silent ruins are haunting reminders of lives uprooted and dreams destroyed, echoing the sorrow that swept the nation. The famine fueled Irish resentment and the drive for independence. The suffering endured became a rallying cry, inspiring generations to fight for justice and self-determination. Historians and survivors have kept the memory alive, challenging attempts to downplay British responsibility. Through research, storytelling and public commemoration, they ensure the truth endures and the lessons are not forgotten. In Ireland, Trevelyan's name is synonymous with bureaucratic cruelty and indifference. His actions are remembered as emblematic of a system that valued policy over people, and his legacy is deeply controversial. His legacy is a warning. When ideology trumps compassion, tragedy follows. The famine stands as a stark lesson in the dangers of rigid thinking and the human cost of neglect. The Great Hunger was not inevitable. It was a preventable disaster made worse by those in power. Decisions made in distant offices had devastating consequences for ordinary people. God bless the Irish people, and let us always remember that humans are, many times, the cause of other humans' suffering. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe to keep the memory and the conversation going. History Icebreakers.